President Trump was wrong to give a white nationalist, an anti-Semite, and a Holocaust denier a seat at the table. And I think he should apologize for it, and he should denounce those individuals and their hateful rhetoric without qualification.
That's former Vice President Mike Pence talking about his former boss, Donald Trump, from our interview today. Mr. Trump met with known Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes, Kanye West, who faced backlash for recent anti-Semitic comments. They had dinner over the weekend. Batya Ungar-Sargon here, Deputy Opinion Editor for Newsweek. It's hard to say you're really surprised, right?
Right. I mean, I think that one of the horrible things about this is that, for 6 years, the left has been saying, Trump is no different from a white supremacist. People who support him are okay with white supremacy. They're okay with anti-Semitism. They're okay with racism. And a lot of people who supported him would say, no, we're in it for the policies. We're in it for his foreign policy. We're in it for his economic policy. We're in it for his, how he deals with China, right? That he's not really, about that. He's being misquoted by the media. They're misrepresenting him. And then, here
and then
he
you have
shows
dinner with
up
Nick Fuentes. To be fair, the former president says he didn't know who Nick Fuentes was, which means either the advance guy should be fired and he's lying, or the advance guy should be fired and he's not lying. He just still won't manage to say Nick Fuentes is a horrible and repulsive human being. But earlier I was talking to some Republicans who said that the shock value should be real, but at the same time, to your point, when people said over the past 6 years, anyone who supports Donald Trump's a white nationalist, the term white nationalist in anti-Semite doesn't have the same meaning now that it did 6 years ago.
I have to say, I really don't think that holds water. I mean, first of all, even if he didn't know who Nick Fuentes was, Kanye West has spent the last month saying deeply anti-Semitic things, and he keeps doubling down on them. I mean, he's really convinced about them, right? So the idea that Trump was even sitting down with him, I think, was a huge betrayal of his base and his legacy and everything he stood for. I mean, to what end? His grandchildren are Jewish. How can you sit down with somebody who thinks that Jews are scheming to control the world and to hurt Black people, right? I mean, it really boggles the mind. So I really don't think that that's a fair analysis. I don't think right now in this moment, President Trump is sitting down with, just the gutter. I mean, he's decided that, however low things have gone, however bad things have gotten, he still has further to go. And it's so disappointing. And I'm so glad that, former Vice President Mike Pence, that you got him to say that Trump should apologize. He really should. Yeah, no,
although the secret is Trump has not apologized in the past 6 years. There's no reason to think he will now, and he has not. Anti-Semitism is always the canary in the coal mine, right? For authoritarian regimes, France, Black Plague, and persecutions goes back to the 1300s, Spanish Inquisition, Russian pogroms, German Holocaust. We can go through the list. That said, the anti-Semitism on the fringes of the left and the right are now kindling in America. Does that mean we're going to get an authoritarian regime from one side or the other?
I have to say, I'm a little bit of an anti-Semitism on the rise, creating danger for American Jews skeptic. Of course, it's on the rise. Conspiracy thinking is on the rise. Anti-Semitism is a conspiracy theory about Jewish power. There's never been a country in the history of the world that has protected Jews and valued Jews and cherished Jews like the United States of America, and that is not about to change. I just don't think that there is mass support on either side, on the far left or on the far right, for the far left or the far right. I feel very secure, and I think that a lot of this is just, on Twitter, basically.
I'm paid to be skeptical, but I hope you're right. It is a beacon of fresh air here. I was going to sort of get to the difference of how the left and the right treats anti-Semitism, especially from members of Congress, but we ran out of time. Batya, it's always good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Leland.
Yes. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.